Hi, here we are at the LexMedia studio in Lexington, very close to where I used to teach as an elementary school teacher. But today, I have something for you, something really fun and amusing. It's a whole gallery of Happy Apple, Quirky Apple characters, and we're going to go through them, and you'll get to see them and hear their voices, and then afterwards we'll have a workshop to teach you how to make them. They are so much fun and will give you an uplift. Well, hello, nature boy. Do you live in a tree with birds and squirrels and critters who will take you seriously? Do they perch on your twigs and store nuts in your ears? Or doesn't it matter much? 'Cause you become like family through the years. Tweet, tweet, very sweet, but just a bit weird. Good day, sir. Are you the renowned professor who loves to profess everything you teach about naturalism, yet won't ever confess that you wear a toupee in the shower and to bed to cover your baldness? Oh my, and we wonder, will there ever come a day when you live up to the motto you taught us, to thine own natural self be true? We wish this happens for you, our dear old professor. We certainly do. There once was a diva from Paris who went on a serious man-hunting spree to find a young man to marry. But everyone who knew her doubted her dream would ever come true. 'Cause who'd ever want to marry and have it my way, feathery shrew? Cock-a-doodle-doo. Hoo-hoo. Hello there, mister. You were once in the army and had to enlist, right? But you must have found a way to resist, escaping wages of war, collecting medals and overturning Batista years ago. Good for you. Your country is still very, very proud of you, mister. Come with me, dear. It's time for bed. We spent nights together here in Maine since the day we were wed. Let's have a peaceful night, and please promise not to thrash and snore, so we can dream of happy days ahead, starting at 7 p.m. tonight forevermore. Now, come in, dear. Come to bed. Put out the cat, and remember to latch the door. Now, here's a rare specimen of a bear named John, with fur that looks like hair. Some think he's related to Bigfoot, but you know what? He don't care. As long as he can hide out in his cave and stay cozy and warm all winter in his long john underwear. Oh man, how can I get this scowl off my face? Can someone help me? And is there an age reversing spa, or is there a place where one might go to erase lines of worry and stress earned just by joining the human race? I'd just love to find a place where twinkles and smiles can replace this old ornery scowl on my face. I sure would. Hello, flower child. I have a few questions to ask you. Back in the 60s, was it really that much fun? Dancing in the California sun, singing in the rain, and always being on the run, and then hanging out in a van with your long-haired, bearded hippie man? What was it like, feeling so free and wild? And what made you grow up, pretty little aging flower child? 'Cause it looks like you almost did. Sending happy Thanksgiving wishes to you and all. Surely we'll be thankful for many a blessing received through the year, and especially this fall. May the days ahead, though shorter and dark, be filled with crackling home fires burning ignited by your glowing inner spark. Happy holidays and happy Thanksgiving. Here we are in the kitchen, and I am going to teach you to make apple heads. And you won't believe that something like this could end up like this. I would say it takes about 2 or 3 weeks for these apples to dry out. But you can just have fun waiting from day to day to see what happens to your apples. But let's get started with a process that people had fun with years ago. The pioneers, American Indians. It's an old world craft. So the first thing you do is you start with a Granny Smith apple. These are the ones that I would highly recommend because you have more surface to create your face with. I've tried Macintosh apples, but they're smaller and they're a little bit juicier. This type of apple is the best to work with, and it's quite inexpensive. So you just start and you start peeling the apple. Very easy to do. I can see this is a nice one. It's not too juicy, it's just the right texture. So you make a little pile of apple peels, and I always think, gosh, there's got to be something to do you could do with these peels. They're so pretty, but you just make a little pile, and then after you wrap them up and throw them away. So some people like to leave this little part. My mother used to make these years ago, and she used that as a little hat. But I found a different way. So what you first do is you mark the space where you would put eyes. I'm going to just put a little hole here and a little hole here. That's where the eyes would be. And you're going to look at the apple and look at the proportions. Maybe that's a little wide for the eyes, but I can dig and make it work out perfectly. So then I take with a knife or some kind of a tool, and then I draw where my nose would be, right here. And then down here I draw a space for a mouth. And then the lower lip. I don't have too much of a chin on this guy, but it's okay. Then I have something that looks like this, and then I start digging. I like to dig with my fingernails, but you could dig with a little stick or something, and you start digging right here where the eye sockets would be. This is quite a juicy apple, so I would take a little bit of my towel right here, have something like this to keep wiping parts off. So you can see now I don't want to dig too much because I'd like a little bit of a surface for cheeks. I'm going to dig around this nose, keep digging. I'm going to go over the other side of the apple, and as you can see, this moves along rather quickly, which is nice. It doesn't take long to make one of these little guys. It does take a long time for them to dry out though. You just have to be patient. And I'm going to dig down here right by the mouth. And as you're working, you might have in mind, this is going to be a guy, or this is going to be a lady or a girl or a child. I'm going to go from the up side of the apple, the other side. I'm going to start digging. I'll dig out. As you can see, there are already contours that are starting to make the face of this apple. Now when you do your apples, you're not going to see that wonderful character yet that starts emerging. That happens when the apple starts to dry. Now I found that I don't want my apples to always have this broad nose here, so I go up here and start digging. If you think of your own face, you know there's a space and then there's a sweep down to the nose. So I'm going to do that. And as you do these apples, you'll get better and better at it. And you'll see maybe new things that you want to have on your apple. So in my apples, I haven't done ears, but you could go back here because on this Granny Smith apple, there's a lot of space here. Let's just see if we could make an ear. So you would come down the side of this head and dig. and go here. I'm going to go back a little bit. I don't want his ear right in the front. Usually I put hair and fur and things on my apple so you don't see the ears, but if you wanted to, you could have him have a thinner face and then have these ears showing up. Yeah, it's okay. It's working. This is a perfect apple because it doesn't take a lot to scrape it, excuse me. And when you're picking out apples, squeeze them a little. You want ones that are a little bit soft, but not too soft. So, here's my first character that's emerging. A little eyebrow there. I like my apples to be balanced on both sides because they're going to change a lot as they dry. They are. And I try to go over the surface so it's smooth enough, but it will start to wrinkle on its own. Now I don't want him to look like he has a big clown's mouth. I started out with a big surface. I'm going to dig this just a little bit more so that mouth. I'm going to go up to this nose, see if I can make it look a little bit better. And be sure to keep your towel right nearby so you can keep doing this. I think I will go over the other side and make another ear. Just digging in here and seeing what happens. He's okay. Starting to look like one of my little guys first looked like. And so, because this goes way around here, I see I've dug a lot. I'm going to go over the other side. I'm going to dig a little bit more over to that ear. Now, this guy, before I dry this off, I'm going to take my little picker. And I'm going to make some little nostrils here. It won't look like much now, but later on it'll show up as a real nose. And you can pinch it later and do whatever you want. Now I'm going to do this now. I'm going to stop my apple. I'm going to stop making his face and just leave him like this. Usually I do 4 at a time. So I'll work on one and I'll work on another and another. But before you start drawing them, what you need to do is to take this piece of towel, wrap it up, and just put that aside. The next step, I don't know whoever figured this out, but it's really important. You put some salt in a bowl, little bowl. And I would say that's probably a teaspoonful. Then you take a lemon and you cut it and you squeeze it into the bowl. I've got a seed there, some seeds, that doesn't really matter, and I'm going to mix it up. I'll put this little seeds over at the side or take them out. I want a nice lot of juice. So I had this. Actually, one second, I'm going to get some towels. I need a fresh piece right here. And I'm going to soak this mixture of salt and lemon, and I'm going to put it all over the face of my little guy here. Now this will prevent, I do need some more lemon. Squeeze just a weeny bit more. This will prevent it becoming very brown right away, so you just add this to the front and to the back. And make sure that every feature has been soaked with this. And then you can squeeze this on and then dab it a little bit more. And there you have it. You have the face. Then I take a nice stick and then I put it right up inside the apple like this. And you're not going to break the features or anything. And I like to put them in my plants, my plant pots. And then when I look at them, they amuse me. And then I go and look, and every day, this little guy will start to shrink. Now here's the trick that I learned, and I went online to see if I could speed up the process. And what I did was you put it in an oven for about 150 degrees, but you have to leave your oven on for about 4 or 5 hours. And I wanted to make sure that this exhibit was ready, and I sped up the process just a little bit. You may not want to do that. You may be patient enough to wait. So what's going to happen is that you put it someplace or you lean it up against something, because you want all sides to have air surrounding it. If you put it near something and leave it there, that part is going to be squishy. You want all parts to dry. So find a place in your house to put this and amuse yourself as you watch it changing. Now, it can change in all different ways. And I'm going to show you just a little bit about how I brought my apples into their own characters. When you have completed the face, there are different ways people like to put eyes in your character. I have these tiny little ones, which you just can stick right in the eye sockets. And they'll look very tiny, but remember, your apples are going to shrink to this size. You can go to Playtime or Michael's. They have eyes that are little wiggly eyes, or they have little ones with studs in them. And that's the way your little apple will start drying, with his little eyes in. If you can find little pieces of fur, or this only took fur and a little band to wrap around the head, and there's a piece of leather. That's all I needed for this. And I found that a good thing to do is when you're ready to dress your apples, you put them on. This is just a little slice of a toilet paper roll. This is a little big for him. I think he's dried out a little while ago. But you just put that apple on that piece, and then you decorate it. Decorate it first. I guess he's a little bit bigger. He could go on here. And then you say, who does this look like? What do I want to turn this into? And I'm sure you'll come up with ideas. And it's just such a fun process. And the last thing I wanted to share with you is this. I took pictures of my little apple people and made cards with them. You can make photographs, and then you could put captions on them. Well, hello, how are you doing today? Or, whatever. And then here's this little gal. Time to put away summer clothes. Anything. And then I used my iPad, and if you didn't want to make the pictures like that, you could just take on your iPad and then send people messages after your apples start to become characters. So I hope I've inspired you to be creative this fall and to make some things that you can have in your home or give as gifts. You could dress them up as Santa Claus or little elves, or as I did, Thanksgiving characters, anything. And also, if you need a rerun of this, you can go online, and there are wonderful demos on YouTube that will tell you exactly how other people have done it. But we'll close now. Happy apple making.